Ministers in the social cluster have been taking tough questions from members of the National Assembly a day after President Cyril Ramaphosa answered oral questions from members of Parliament. Newzroom Africa's Artie Mzingana joins us now live for more on this. Artie, good evening. What's happening there?
Well, ministers in the social cluster, Stephen, as you've mentioned, are currently facing tough questions from members of the National Assembly, particularly those from the opposition benches. I can tell you, for starters, the Democratic Alliance has already hit at the ANC-led executive, saying that the NHI bill, for example, is an issue that the ANC wants to use as an election tool, saying that if it would be implemented, they are claiming, as the DA, that the ANC would use it as yet another opportunity to loot and steal, claiming that they would even go as far as to steal and take the medicine that will be involved in the NHI system. But of course, the Minister of Health, Dr. Joe Phaahla, refuting those claims, saying that, well, what they are planning for NHI is a system, a healthcare system that will be able to integrate the public and the private sector, ultimately to benefit South Africans who cannot afford health care. So we also heard from some of the other social cluster ministers conceding to some of the failures in their respective departments. We also heard the Minister of Higher Education and Science and Technology, Blade Nzimande, for example, conceding to some of the technical glitches that students face insofar as NSFAS is concerned. And he's saying that about 100 million rands has been allocated in order to ensure that they revitalize the NSFAS system. So let's listen to what he had to say.
We are agreed with NSFAS and with the board. When I met with the board, there are challenges in terms of communication broadly, as well as timely responses to some of the queries, whether it appeals or not. And also, we are working, as I have said, with South Treasury to ensure that NSFAS gets additional money. By the way, I've already released 100 million rands for NSFAS to immediately work at improving its own systems, because it has grown now. It's actually huge. So I do admit to this, and NSFAS itself admitted, and that is why I'm saying I'm expecting a response by the end of this week as to how they're dealing with all the problems.
The other issue that some of the social cluster ministers were conceding to is the failure to be able to provide water in certain communities across the country. This was, of course, at the back of questions by some MPs getting direct messages from residents in different parts of the country complaining about the lack of water. Let's listen to what the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, Judith Chabalala, had to say.
I would want to draw attention. There's a number of interventions that we're making, and I can tell you that, for instance, I'll tell you about Eastern Cape on its own, the Nelson Mandela Bay. We have Nutgat, lower level water supply that we're already dealing with phase, and that is really a project that is taking place, and we're implementing by the Amatolo water. That's one. We would have Mbizana that we're also busy with. We would have Mkum municipality, Ndlamandle local municipality, Makana local municipality that we're also busy with. When it comes to also Free State, entire country, Ludia Pofon, you would understand and appreciate that municipality is quite ailing, still updated. It's got lots of infrastructure problems, including governance, management, financials, and so forth. We've come together with the Minister of Local Government, Ms. Nkadime, to say that we need to have a holistic approach from a SALGA point of view. They need to capacitate these municipalities so that when we bring this RPIC and we seek funding, and this is the interventions that we're doing across the country. Ministers have been crisscrossing this country. We've been every way in this country.
As you know, Stephen, the question and answer session in the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces is a way in which Parliament uses as a mechanism and a method to hold members of the executive to account. Tomorrow, the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, will be in the NCOP, also facing questions from members of Parliament.
Artyom Tungana, thank you very much indeed for that live update.